Hello, hello, hello. So, of course, like right as you're about to go live, I touched the screen and it's an absolute mess. So let's try this again. Is that better? Oh, yeah, I'm HD now. So, hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I am going to talk to you about a topic that was presented and requested by Coach Jerry. Coach Jerry is one of the coaches that I've trained and certified, and she also usually joins these live videos. So if you want to talk to Coach Jerry a bit more in detail for whatever reason, or get better understanding, or to help her, or to get some help for yourself, then I'm tagging her right now. So if you want to talk to Jerry, you go right ahead. I'm going to make that be okay. Hopefully Jerry's okay with that, and we will rock and roll. So we're going to talk today about finding your niche, and making sure that once you do find that niche, if you transition, it can be as smooth a process as possible. Firstly, I want to kind of deal with this question of if a person should be changing their niche in the first place. And also want to deal with the pronunciation of niche or niche. So I like saying niche, but most people say niche. So whatever works, we all know what we're talking about. If you don't know what we're talking about your specialty, okay? So I've added a poll, and if you could just take some time to answer that poll, that would be absolutely wonderful. Answer that poll question for me. And I'm going to add another one too if you want to answer those. If you want to answer those as well. So go ahead and chime in, ask me your questions as it relates to this particular topic. And as I discuss, go ahead and add your comments too. Of course, I always love to hear from you. And hopefully you like to hear from me too. You know what I mean? So I'm going to ask one more question here and we'll get started. And I just found out about these questions, so I'm trying to, be great, and it's just a lot of stuff going on. And boom. So let me tell you my thoughts. First and foremost, my thoughts let's start off about me. Okay. Personally, and sorry that my clothes are all in the way. Personally, I am a fan of a person while developing business, changing the niche, changing the focus, and not necessarily changing it, but fine tuning it. I probably would not necessarily agree with a full-on change, but finding clarity in it, absolutely. Okay, absolutely. As a person finds the essence of stepping through business endeavors, then you'll also find that the clarity just comes. It comes. The more that you walk, the more that you move forward, the more that you network and engage, and really the more that you find about yourself. When you find more out about yourself, then you'll fine tune what it is that you want to do. You'll find clarity on what it was you thought you wanted to do. And much of that just has to come through experience. You won't really be able to go in the door knowing exactly what it is that you want to do unless it's something like hair. You want to do hair versus nails, right? But even that, you'll know whether you want to do acrylic nails or gel nails. If you're doing hair, you'll know whether you want to deal with natural hair or whether you want to deal with colors or bundles or healthy hair. So even all of that is just finding more clarity around the specialty. But you don't go from doing hair to doing feet. Even though that's a part of your training, you get a full-on training. So just consider that for starters. How should one place herself in business? And once you've placed yourself in business, where do you go from there? All right. So I would say go into a business endeavor that you have a passion for. Don't do it just because Coach D said it. Don't do it because Coach D does it. Don't do it because it looks good, it feels good, or it pays good. Even with pay, if you don't want to do it, then that money don't make no sense. You understand? So make sure that you find yourself doing something that you absolutely want to do, because if you don't absolutely want to do it, then it just will not be worthwhile, even when you get paid to do it. So I would say this, based off of my process, I have actually changed what I've done numerous times. You'll find this in a lot of people who are either venture capitalists or who are serialpreneurs, which just is a person who wants to be a business owner, wants to be, have, well, not a small business. Small businesses are typically brick and mortar, but a person who wants to own a business, an entity. And so they will switch from all types of ideas to kind of fine tune what it is that they want to do. And they usually stay in the same industry, but still will flip flop between what it looks like. In our case, with me, I have gone from being a photographer to being a web designer, a social media manager, a general manager, a I said that part. There's so many of them, but ultimately what I realize is that when I've done all of those various things, they all end up being the absolute essence of what I need to be great for you. And that is a brand consultant. Okay. Without having had the experience of being a photographer, a web designer, a social media manager, a general manager, there's no way that I could be the best brand and business coach that I am right now. So all of those things, again, just help fine tune the process, and they really just help build the bigger vision. Um, so I want you to consider that. Now, as far as anything that's just changing outright, for example, in my case, I've grown from things that are primarily business related to things that are spiritual in nature. And so that's why I call myself a lifestyle designer. Okay. Lifestyle designer. Now, there's a lot of people who just say that they're a lifestyle designer because I said I was a lifestyle designer, and I don't mind that much. I think that's the biggest compliment ever. But whatever it is, just be able to explain it, whatever is your title as a coach or whatever, a consultant, be able to explain it to someone. As a lifestyle designer, it means that I can help you get your life together. I can help you with the spiritual side. I can help you with the business side. I can help you even with the emotional or mental side. And that's just based off of my having a couple of psychology degrees. So as far as the niche or the specialty that you will have in business, I would say, yes, a person can switch from niche to niche. Okay. A person can switch from something that is general in nature to something that is more specific in nature and something that is valuable long-term for your clients. So when you think about it like that, the goal should be adding value for your clients, not even necessarily adding bucks for your business. Because again, if you're just focusing on adding bucks for your business, then it won't necessarily serve a long-term purpose, because money could just, cause a lot more problems than you anticipated. So make sure that the passion and the money go hand in hand, so that you can have the greatest lifestyle design possible. Okay. So we know a lot of industries that actually have and make a lot of money, but those are some of the industries where the suicide rate is extra, extra high. Okay. So just be mindful of that. Don't just go chasing bucks, chase something that is going to actually be beautiful for your life. All right. So the question itself was basically, how does one transition from niche to niche? Because it could be really hard. It can be really hard to go from being a photographer to being a general manager. Those things, just the math just wasn't adding up. I wasn't concerned about it, but I realized once I got to the place that I currently am in, that it was all very fundamental. It was all very integral to my success where I am right now. Even being a Microsoft Office expert and certified in those types of things, it still helps me to run businesses or aid businesses or even to run my own business. So I would say don't discount any of your prior experiences. Make sure you bring all that stuff with you, so when you're operating in your greatness, it can be the best possible. So answer the poll if you've not had a chance. Should an entrepreneur change niches? Should an entrepreneur change her niche from one thing to the other? Should she just stay where she's at? Or is she okay to kind of find her footing, flex her wings, and fly? Okay. Now, when transitioning, I would say the best thing to do is to, um, hmm, okay, I was going to say one thing and I had to think about that thing. I was going to say that you should, while you're walking in one, start to build the other. But sometimes the overlap of thought processes could be very, very difficult to balance. So I would recommend, and this is what I did, I would shut down one and start the other. And it shouldn't take too much time in between. But in doing so, you would give your clients time to kind of flow out of the one niche into the next niche. And in this case, it wasn't like a niche, it was a business, flow out of one business into the next business. So in that type of a light, yeah, stop one, start the other. If you're simply changing a niche, which means just getting a different specialty, then the only thing I would say you would have to do differently is just to now begin to market the one thing. I started off doing certain types of courses, and then I could find I don't want to do those courses anymore. I could be bored with those courses. And so those things being said, it may not be a niche change as much as it's a brand change. As your brand evolves, so too should your market of people. Okay. And if you think about it like that, it may not necessarily be the niche change that you're considering. It may not be the specialty change. It may just be as you're growing, other people grow. As you elevate, the people around you elevate. And you learn more things, you want to begin to share those things as you increase your certifications and your trainings and your credentialing as it relates to coaching. Then, of course, you want to offer things that are more in line with the new you, the rebranded you, the refocused you, the recharged you, the re-energized you. If you're going from, let's say, going from a parent coach to a sports coach, if you're going from something like that, one thing to the next, I wouldn't even call that one extreme to another, because you'll still have to use a lot of the same skills. You'll still have to use a lot of the same conversations, really. So in those types of things, I wouldn't say that it's too hard a transition. The transition really should consider your current body of work, your current clients, and then how does that impact the new people? Are they the same pocket of people, or is it a totally different process? Is a totally different plan? Is it a totally different outcome or a totally different walk? So some walks could be, oh, we're just going to coach and we're going to work together for a short period of time. Others could be you're mentoring now, so that could take years. That could be a lifelong relationship. So consider those options and those variables. And once you have considered those things, then I want you to, just kind of walk forward. You can ask questions from others or myself, of course, along the way. But other than that, don't let anything stop you. If that's where you're being led and directed, then go for it. Don't be discouraged. Also, you don't always have to listen to those people that say stay in your lane. I'm one of the ones that think about the fact that when you you reverse out of your own driveway, you have to go into another lane to get out of your own driveway. So there will be times where you get out of the lane, but as long as you stay focused on the destination, even when you're switching lanes, you just stay focused on your destination and you will get there. Okay. Don't be riding in too many lanes at the same time. That, of course, could be a problem. But from time to time, I would say that the only way to find the clarity that you need is to sometimes get into other lanes. So can you change your niche? Absolutely. Should you change your niche? Absolutely. I would say that if you're not changing your niche from time to time, you're probably not growing. And then your audience gets limited on what it is that you could give them. Like I said, as you grow, as you gain more credentialing, as you gain more experience, even as you gain new clients and customers, you'll begin to fine tune how you do what you do. And you'll also begin to maximize on how you give what you give, meaning how I do it is just like the one-on-one interaction. What I give is the broader spectrum, the broader scope of individuals, of audiences, of creativity even. And, once you do all of those things and consider all of those things, then I think you can make the best decision on how to move forward and also when to move forward. Now, in my case, because of course I have to tell you a little bit about myself so it can kind of give you something to grasp onto or say, hey, I understand that, or give you a little light bulb moment. So for me, I started off, understanding I did not want to be your typical life coach. I knew that from the beginning. I studied psychology, and I always knew that I did not want to really have people laying on my couch telling me about suicide and depression and mental health concerns and daddy issues. I did not want to deal with those things because those things are pretty heavyweight. And I just did not want a life that meant I would be doing that every single day. Another thing to consider is that psychologists have the #1 suicide rate in all industries. And so I definitely wasn't signing up for that. You hear me? So I, as a psychologist or psychology major, as well as a coach, I just did not want to deal with the hard things. Also, understanding that coaching is positive psychology, I wanted to have things that were positive. You know, what was exciting me? What did I enjoy? And it wasn't necessarily those things that caused me to get where I ended up, but it was the fact that I was exposed to photography. I was exposed to marketing and social media management. I was exposed to business management. I was exposed to promotions. And so through all of that, I wrapped that thing real tight and I said, you know what, this is a business consultant. This is a business coach. And I was very much excited to do that because I had walked alongside so many business owners. That it was really comfortable for me. Now, here's the deal. I wasn't really on board with much of this by the time it came to me. But people offered me opportunities and they kept asking and they kept asking and they kept asking. And so finally I would say yes. And these were primarily pastors. Okay. All of the people who asked me primarily were pastors. The things that people saw in the outside were, you know, lounges or entertainers or other people, you know, people who were like local celebrities. So I was working with those folks outside, but on the inside, things that people could not see, I was building websites and doing promotions and media marketing and graphics for pastors. So there was always this undertone of church work. Always, even before I was, you know, Jesus was my homeboy real good. Now he's my homeboy real great, you know, but there was always this undertone. And so I was always conflicted with, okay, am I a business coach or am I a Christian coach? Am I a business coach or am I a spiritual coach? I can be a Christian as a coach, but how should I market? Would that be my niche? And so that was always a challenge for me. Now I have this thing, which is no longer a limbo, but I serve leaders. I also serve pastors. I serve women in business. I also serve spiritual leaders. So in those things, the main thing is leaders. I work to build and develop leaders. That is the niche. These spinoffs could be the Christian leadership, the leading Christians, leading ladies in Christianity, or pastors. They could be males. Primarily, they are males. But then the other side of it is women. Okay. Now there is this one more thing that's been added, and that is working with little ladies. So I do a lot of work with nonprofit organizations serving little girls. And so I find all of that to be my niche. If there is like a little triangle, that's what it would be. Why? Because that's the way that I have placed myself, and that's what people pull on me for. And many times you'll find that when you're active, people will tell you what your niche is, not because they're just going to flat out tell you, but because they'll ask you to do things which they see you being valuable in. So if you have added value somewhere, then consider that to be your niche as a coach, as a consultant, and in any of these lanes where we kind of pick our poison. Okay. In other lanes, if you're doing hair, you better stick to weave, because if you don't know how to do color, then somebody's going to be bald headed. Okay. And we don't want those problems. You know, if you're doing nails and you don't know how to do the acrylic and the acetone and all this type of stuff, don't be doing folks' nails. They have fungus and everything, a whole nail falling off because you wanted to just switch it up because Coach D said so. Don't just switch it up if it is something where you need to be skilled, you need to be trained. Even going from coaching to therapy and counseling, you better not switch from being a coach to a counselor. If that's not your training, do not do it. You could mess up someone's life. So I would say absolutely it's possible. It is also recommended from me to switch niches every now and again to fine tune what it is that you're doing, or to grow. You know, let your business grow as you grow. When you stop growing, your business stops growing. And when your business stops growing, it also stifles you. It stifles not only you, but in coaching, it stifles our clients. So for as long as I was only going to do photography photography, then people couldn't have got websites, they couldn't have got graphics, they couldn't got social media, they couldn't got mentoring, and not just me, but mentoring in group form. So I had to grow as my market needed me to grow. So that's another reason why I'm always accepting input from others, because if I don't serve my audience, then why am I here in business anyway? I got to give the people what they want. Even James Brown said that. Give the people what they want. Okay, so give it to them. Why not? So answer these questions. Have you ever changed your niche? Go ahead and put yes or no if you have changed your niche. And the other one is, should an entrepreneur change her niche while in business? So if you have any comments about the things that I'm sharing here, anything to add, then feel free to make a comment or ask additional questions if you have additional questions. Just to summarize it all, I am a healthy balance between a spiritual leader, not a coach, spiritual leader, and then a business coach. You know what I mean? So let's say that business coaching, that is my occupation. And then the spiritual leadership is my calling. All right, let's do it like that. And spiritual leadership is something that I'm I'm comfortable with it. I don't have a problem with it. It's something that's been in development for quite some time. And years ago, I definitely wouldn't have put a name on it. I just would have been obedient. And I'm a fan of being obedient, but not necessarily a fan of what ends up looking like preaching or that type of stuff. And the reason is because I'm probably still very much avoiding a whole bunch of stuff that's going to end up coming anyway. So why not just go with it? So that's how I would explain what it is that I'm doing and how my setup looks. If yours needs to be modified to fit, if Christian coaching or Christian leadership coaching is something that you need to do, then go for it, and if you have to drop any things off on the wayside, okay, leave it down by the water, drop it off at the well, leave it at the altar, whatever you have to do to get where God needs you to go, then go there, no holds barred, no excuses given, okay? Don't be bothered about what people think and all this type of stuff. Just get where you're supposed to be, and where we're supposed to be is really in the will. So if what you're doing in business is not in his will, I would absolutely encourage you to stop that immediately and go ahead and do something else immediately. All right, don't take no time. There's no need to be taking a long time to do stuff that's actually very easily done. All right. So consider those things that I have mentioned. Consider also where you stand in this discussion. Is there something that you need to change about your current business setup? Is there a specialty that you need to consider? Is there something that you've been avoiding and you need to fine tune? So I have a few more of you here that have just recently joined. If you have any questions, let me know what your questions are. Any questions, any comments, any final thoughts? All hearts and minds are clear? All right. So that is that. I am going to go ahead and transition now. I have a place to be, and the person that I'm supposed to be with is actually on this video. So I cannot be late for my next date. And I am, in the meantime, of course, always looking forward to hearing your comments, your questions. You can DM me. You can DM me. That's probably the best way. So DM me, let me know what it is that you need. Let me know if this has been helpful for you. So you can comment, you can share it, you can like it, whatever it is that you need to do. I always, of course, like to know that I'm in the vein. So if I've been in the vein for you, just make a little comment and see that it's helped. Now, for some of us, we've not even started businesses yet. So hopefully there were some components to this that have helped you to make your next step, or something that you can maybe review once you do get to the point of starting business. So it's kind of up to you where you can place this in your life. All I request is that you place it somewhere. All right. So this is Coach D signing off, hoping that you've had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I know I had a fabulous weekend, and I'm kind of just trying to get back into the rotation of life. So onward and upward, I have some place to be. So I will talk to you soon. Hey, Coach, I love you. You all have a wonderful, wonderful night.